Our first night in a world without power and water was abysmally void of warmth. The harsh eternal cold battered the windowed barrier of our abode like a never-ending scream, the darkness amplifying our anxiety as the icy fangs bit down into the void around us. Our only reply was to keep moving, to keep our blood pumping as the temperatures plummeted through every building. While the power was still on, light was never a concern, but as darkness swept through the city, we needed something to ignite our path. We returned to the toy store briefly to find a flashlight we could attach to our belt, something we could use to brighten our world, while our hands carried our only means of defense. We found a nice pink flashlight and a few spare batteries while we were there, and wasted little time before returning home to our residence to wait out the storm.
Alright, so I think part of surviving in this world is going to be not getting wet, because being wet amplifies the temperature's damage. And if I'm wet, I'm freezing to death.
With temperatures at less than -30 degrees, there is little we could do to make progress. Getting wet with no way to warm up or dry off was a death sentence, so we huddled down in our corner of the gym and settled in for the long haul, praying for a break in the storms. When we got too cold, we used exercise to regain warmth, the repetition movement strengthening us at the same time. However, we needed to be careful not to push ourselves too far, or else our own sweat would spell our doom and slowly cause us to freeze to death. It wouldn't take long before we'd begin to succumb to our own tedium.
Warm it up. Do a hop, do a sprint. Do a hop, do a sprint. Do a hop, do a sprint. I finally reached it.
The storm raged on for days. We were prisoners captured in an icy cage. Alone in our hollow, we battled on, waiting for any opportunity to present itself.
I would like to go out. It's pretty bad out there. So we work out some more. $200 more to go. Damn it, I got wet. And being wet is such a detriment. Which is why I'm not going out in the storm without power. I'm just stuck here, and I have a limited amount of food before I'm going to be forced to act. I mean, I've got a lot of food at least. Definitely not making this easy for me.
We'd wake from our slumber once again. The same eerie howl sliced the silence that pervade these familiar walls. As we took in our morning's worth of nicotine, we considered what we could do to escape this cycle. A fire or power would remove our risk of a cold, wet death, but foraging in a storm and failing to find fuel was a death sentence of its own. Our time inside hadn't been wasted. In working out to stay warm, we were beginning to build up our endurance and strength, but was slowly going stir-crazy. We ended up chopping down a bunch of the plant growth today to spruce up the place, hoping it would bring us any sort of peace. It was at least a little bit better than before. It was 9 a.m. on the 1st of October, when the storm finally cleared up just enough. We couldn't let this chance pass, and quickly gathered ourselves for a trip out of this cage. Although the howl of the wind and snow had quieted down, the temperatures outside were still atrocious. The only way to progress would be to make frequent stops inside buildings, which, although still cold, were usually 30+ degrees warmer than being in the direct storm. The corner store was just a small tea shop, but the rewards were tremendous. We found chocolate chip cookies and tea bags aplenty, as well as a few pieces of literature to free us from our boredom. And on a corpse in the back room, we found a supply of beta blockers, which might just save us if we were ever to face off against a horde.
The water in the sinks has gone bad.
With the water in the pipes going foul, we would need to boil any water we would consume in order to avoid getting sick. Fire was becoming more and more important. Thankfully, we had the water jug from the office, which contained plenty of fresh water for now.
Okay, we got a key. We have got a key. We got Remote Control, Electrician Volume 1. No way this thing's gonna work, right? So what are we missing? Engine, 49%. That's pretty good. Battery, 6900. Tires, worse for wear. Gas, I guess. What's our gas at? Out of gas. So if I can find gas, this will run. Oh, that could be game changing. We gotta find some gas. We gotta find a bottle so we can get gas.
On our way back to grab a bottle for gas, we cut through an unexplored shop and found some coffee. Between the tea and the few containers of coffee we had, we'd be able to fight off fatigue for a long time in an emergency situation. And inside the burger joint, we grabbed and emptied an old bleach bottle. With it, we'd hopefully be able to siphon out gas from one of these broken down cars along the congested road.
None of these vehicles have gas in them. Seriously. The tree scratched me.
We spent our whole day searching among the ruined cars for any gas at all, but came back empty-handed. We settled to end our search here, and we returned home to enjoy the spoils of our day, a fresh cigarette and a chocolate chip cookie.
Storm started up again. The temperature is dropping like crazy.
After a brief remission from the dark confines of our gymnasium cage, we were once again locked in with little progress to show. The tedium of repetition wound its grip around our fate firmly, and so we sat, a victim of our own creation, as the storm battered the barren city for days. Eat, read, work out, repeat till sleep, until a new day of darkness and howling storm took place of the old. This was our life without power, fire, or gas. It'd be our luck to wake up with a nasty cold on the day the storm finally settled down, keeping us trapped for even longer. We had to keep busy and warm in order to avoid letting our sickness get worse. We disassembled all the technology in the gym in order to better understand them. At least it was something different outside of our tedium cycle. When that task was finished, it was right back to our routine. It was the only thing keeping us alive at this point. We did everything in our power to beat that cold. And when it finally softened and our health returned to normal, we put everything on the line and ventured deep into the harsh temporal storm. We couldn't continue to live without heat. We needed to find material to make a campfire. Among our forage, we found a shotgun with a few rounds, a beautiful emergency tool, as well as the twigs we needed to start a fire, and a shovel which would be surprisingly useful to make sure we don't burn down our gym. We grabbed the sack we saw earlier and filled it with dirt, and poured it out on top of the floorboards. Before crafting an absolutely marvelous campfire kit. We utilized the dirty rags and old books we'd already read as fuel for the fire, and ignited our path to the future. We happily nestled ourselves against its warmth and dried ourselves off from the storm. Although the howl of the beast still battered against the window panes, they slowly lost their edge as the dance of embers wrapped us in their embrace. With this milestone accomplished, we could focus our attention to finding gas for our car. But that would have to wait until next time.
If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. A like, favorite, or share is also greatly appreciated. If you have a suggestion for a future challenge, please let me know about it down below or by joining the Discord. Thanks and have a wonderful one.